reason I started this business was not because I wanted to start a laundry business, right? It was more or less, I want to start an e-commerce business. What has really solid unit economics? Like there's a lot of consumable products that you can like not take, like for example, vitamins, but laundry, no matter what, you're going to be doing it unless you're buying new clothes all the time.
I look at creative ad programs all day. In certain industries, people are so hyper-focused on getting their direct response content right, their LPs right. And then you look at the peer set, like the competitive set, every single competitor is talking about the exact same value propositions. You need those foundational assets that are going to be more bottom of funnel and get people to convert in certain instances. But I think you also need to figure out how to tell your story, to differentiate yourself. Dude, it's great to have you on the podcast. You know, we've been talking to a bunch of different people just about marketing, and I think the landscape's really changing. I'm just curious, like for you right now, just in scaling Laundry Sauce and thinking about performance marketing, and you guys have mainly been direct to consumer. What are your like major focus areas right now? Like what's kind of keeping you up at night and the things that are also just driving you forward? Like where's your head at?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of where we're at right now is just been on the SKU expansion and just getting really all the core products we need live to scale. When we look at last year, we literally just had a white box and black box of pods. And then it wasn't until November that we launched Egyptian Rose, which is our third fragrance. And then we launched dryer sheets. And that just totally unlocked another level of scale because, you know, the margins are a little bit better with like dryer sheets and stuff. And then we were like this year, we layered on fabric softener, scent booster, dryer balls, candles, and fine fragrance, which just came out. So we have a lot more products to sell people because fundamentally every business boils down to what does it cost you to buy a customer and how much are they worth over time? You know, whether you're an e-commerce business, SaaS business, or any type of business, like customer acquisition has to be something that you can go buy customers and they need to be worth a lot more than what you pay to buy them. And when you don't have a lot of things to sell people, like LTV is somewhat limited, right? And
even for the pod business, which in theory like should be a good repeat purchase business, you know, people require laundry pods pretty consistently. It has subscription potential.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I started this business was not because I wanted to start a laundry business, right? It was more or less, I want to start an e-commerce business. What has like really solid unit economics, right? I just like quite literally wanted to move a box from point A to point B. Didn't necessarily care what was in the box. And I had sold golf balls on eBay when I was in high school or junior high. I think it was high school. I'd go around on the golf course, pick up golf balls, and then wash them and then put them in, you know, basically a shoebox and sell them for $1 each on eBay. Right. And I just kind of loved the consumable nature of golf balls. It was like the simplicity of the product I loved. And then, it was just like, I'd get $1 for each ball. So it was like picking up dollar bills. And that kind of guided my thinking and my framework for what I wanted in an e-commerce business, something that was consumable. And, you know, laundry is something you can't opt out of. Like there's a lot of consumable products that you can like not take, like for example, vitamins, right? But laundry, no matter what, you're going to be doing it unless you're buying new clothes all the time.
Yeah, I think that kind of like separates. I was talking to David Wolf about this a couple weeks ago. That separates really quality e-com businesses today because you just have repeat purchase baked into the product. Like you like it, it fulfills on the service. In theory, you'll purchase it again. I was also having this conversation with Arjun Singh from Jolie. He was saying that like to go a layer even deeper, it's better when there's some sort of vanity involved in that purchase. Like you're buying something to make you better looking or to kind of fill some sort of insecurity. I mean, do you think the laundry pods do that in some sort of way?
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally I'm in the business of emotion, right? In highly commoditized industries, like the brand is really the only differentiator. And it's how it makes you feel. Like I think about Dr. Squatch. Like, why do people pay the premium for that bar of soap? It's because of the way Dr. Squatch makes them feel in the shower, right? I want to make you feel a certain way when you're doing your laundry. And we're trying to take it from a chore to, you know, a luxury experience in a way. And then also like we want to pump up your tires and make you feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we say smell good, look good, feel good,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of people miss that. I mean, there's a lot of conjecture. Also, it's just hard to measure, like, how are you building brand moat in such a short period of time? That's like a very difficult thing for startups to do. just because they don't have the capital of like a Coca-Cola that can spend endlessly on brand marketing and make you feel a certain way through their advertising. So this is something we were just talking about that I want you to kind of opine on is, when did you start the company? How long has it been?
So our first sales were October 20th, 2021.
Okay. So it's been 2 years basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So 24 months basically. And you talk to people, I'm sure, across America who like know who you are.
Yeah, totally. My brother wore his laundry sauce hat here, walked into a bar the other day, and one of the chicks actually knew about it, saw our Scott Eastwood ad, and was like, "Oh, this stuff."
She's like, "That stuff is incredible."
Yeah, for sure.
That's insane. But most of your spend has gone through performance marketing, right?
It's mainly been direct response, like the UGC mashups. I mean, those are really what pay the bills for sure. I mean, we started early on with some like higher top of funnel like brand assets, and like it's not like it didn't perform, but like the UGC ads, like those are what really paid the bills.
So paint us the picture of like what your ad program looks like and how it evolved, over the last 24 months.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone just starts off with your typical, start on Facebook and then use Google for like retargeting and branded search, which is eventually, going to help capture the demand that you're generating top of funnel with Facebook. I mean, Facebook really is the ultimate discovery platform, in my opinion. And, it's kind of it's a really magic thing when you can make more money than you're spending on Facebook. You basically have like an ATM machine, and, it's like, at what point do you like cap out? And that's when you got to figure out like all the other things to actually make it continue scaling. But we just started off with our Facebook ads, and then got it to a couple $100,000 a month in revenue actually relatively quickly. I think.
What did those first ads look like?
It's hard to remember off the top of my head, but we did have this one like top of funnel asset that Raindrop did, and that really helped codify the brand story and made it easy to raise capital for the business. It basically said like what we're about and kind of created like a fun brand and so forth. So I think even though it was like super expensive, and like I wouldn't generally recommend spending like $100,000 on a video before you launch. For most companies, I think there's so much value that actually came out of that was like indirect, because like we basically understood what our voice was. I mean, it's evolved over time, but at least when we launched, we knew what our brand voice was, kind of what we stood for. We clearly had humor integrated into the brand, and we wanted to have fun with it. And then kind of all the other ads dovetailed off that brand persona that we developed, going through that process. Because when you do like a 6-figure budget video, it's not, let's just see what happens, right? There's a lot of planning that goes in ahead of time.
Yeah, you need to be intentional about it, especially when you're spending that sort of capital. It's equivalent to a month of revenue, it sounded like.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how people know you guys today. So I think to your point, it codified a lot of what the brand is known for today, and why, some chick in the bar is like, that brand slaps.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be memorable, right? And what was interesting, we were over at the City Consumer Disruptors Conference today, and they had Dasani canned water, right? First thing I said when we pulled it out, I was like, oh, this isn't Liquid Death. It's the same product fundamentally, but you feel way cooler drinking Liquid Death.
Yeah, no. And I mean,
and it's memorable.
To your point though. So consumer is interesting because, to some degree, it's really tough to have any sort of competitive edge from like a product perspective.
Yeah. Almost everything's commoditized.
Yeah. You can commoditize anything, even if there's, patent pending, patented items, like for the most part, you can get pretty close.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, when you guys launched, was it a novel product? Like talk to me about how you thought through that positioning.
Yeah. When I first came up with a name for laundry sauce, and then knew we wanted to obviously do laundry detergent, but we had no idea how we were going to differentiate it. And we just basically figured like, okay, what are the ways in which we could differentiate? I figured it was going to be hard to go out to the market and say, oh, this cleans better than Tide. Plus, like, how am I going to come up with all the R&D to actually come up with a formula that performs better than Tide? And we realized, there really weren't a lot of people doing fine fragrance and laundry. So there was kind of like this giant open white space that went totally like overlooked by the entire market. So, there's been so many times where people have said, why didn't I think about that? It's like, or this was just like totally standing in plain sight. And so I think there was like really a
white space.
Yeah.
You had white space, and then you're like, all right, we need a you kind of need to be like a first mover in terms of building brand around that sort of commodity or that niche that you're actually trying to become known for. And that's where I think creative plays such an important part of the mix when you're going direct to consumer.
Yeah. I mean, creative is really the one opportunity you have to tell your story.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're basically fundamentally interrupting people's day to say, buy my shit. Right. And you got to come across in a way that's not like too salesy where it turns people off. Right. You got to entertain people.
Well, I mean, like just taking the commoditization angle, you'd be surprised. Like I look at creative ad programs all day in certain industries. Like people are so hyper focused on getting their direct response content right, their LPs right. And then you look at the peer set, like the competitive set.
Yeah.
Every single competitor is talking about the exact same value propositions. They have the exact same UGC. They're testing the same hooks. Like they're commoditizing themselves through their messaging.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's very important. You need those foundational assets that are going to be more bottom of funnel and get people to convert in certain instances. But I think you also need to figure out how to tell your story, to differentiate yourself, to basically like, you know, have your punchline.
Yeah, well, you need to have a short unique voice. I think that's really what it boils down to, right? Because someone else could come out with a, you know, nice smelling laundry detergent.
Well, I'm sure they have, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like we're not the only people that have ever put like nice fragrances in laundry, right?
No, but I mean, since you guys launched, like it's been 2 years, I'm sure people have come out and tried to replicate.
Yeah, Hotel Collection, they tried knocking us off. So they just recently just like they copied all the packaging, like absolutely no originality there. So I think we did a pretty good job actually with the packaging, and like most people had never put it in like a magnetic luxury designer box, right? So like those are some of the things that we really did, and you know, tried to create it, you know, in a luxury experience. Because I mean, the laundress, they partnered with Labo and they did some really high end, you know, fragrances and that, but it, you know, still came in like a plastic jar.
It's also just like a totally different demo.
Yeah.
Who I was just talking to Karina from Dead Cool. She loves like the laundry detergent space, but totally different customer than laundry sauce.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because you're going to have your voice that speaks to different people, right? Like, what do you stand for as a company? And I think a lot of people are buying like why you do it, not what you do, right? Especially if you have to buy the product anyway.
Well, I think if you look at positioning, and then, you know, target demo, like particularly for this market, laundry, it's like if you're like a guy that like wants to smell good, like your optionality is just like it's cleaning products, really.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't really have any ability to, you know, have any sort of individuality if you're choosing between like Tide and I don't even know the other ones.
You smell like everyone else. Like we stand against mediocrity, like boring, like average life experiences. Like we stand against that. Like we want to be the antithesis of mediocrity and take something that is generally a pretty boring aspect of your life and make it a little bit more exciting.
So you start to scale, just going back here, you start to scale off the hero product, the pods.
Yeah.
And did people repurchase at the rate that you were expecting? Were you like, oh shit, we have a winner here. We should just go deep on this product, or we need to expand as, you know, out and go a little bit more horizontal. How did you guys think through that? And how did you know what the right timing was?
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, my first e-commerce business, so I didn't have like a ton of data to say, oh, this is what the repeat order rate should be. I mean, obviously, no matter what it is, I probably want it to be higher and more profitable. But, you know, the repeat purchase rate was good enough to keep going. And then I think as we've added more products, as we've improved like the website experience, as we've just improved the whole brand experience as a whole, I think we've been able to deliver just a higher quality product to people, especially when you can use like the pods, scent booster, fabric softener, and dryer sheets. Like it's a like legit, you know, laundry experience rather than just the pods, right? Because people like loved it, and then they didn't want to use different fabric softener, different dryer sheets, because they felt like, you know, the scents would clash or whatever. So I think over time, like just the whole experience has gotten better.
What has the process been like creating scents?
It's quite fun. So I am, I guess, the principal perfumer of laundry sauce.
No.
So I became the de facto nose.
That's too funny.
So you just find things that inspire you, scents that you like, and then working with our fragrance manufacturer, like they have a ton of technical capability, and they've designed fragrances for some of the biggest designer brands in the world that we all know and are familiar with. So the Siberian pine, like that was based off of a niche cologne that I was using, and I just sent it to him. I'm like, all right, let's make something, kind of use this as inspiration. And then ultimately we kind of landed on some signature scents, and generally laundry sauce has like woody fragrances. Is kind of like a base note. They tend to perform quite well in laundry, because that's another thing that you got to think about is how is this going to perform in the wash? Like what you can do in a traditional fine fragrance you might not be able to do in a laundry.
Yeah, it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
Results aren't the same.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Just your journey to chief perfumer, ecom. And then in terms of thinking through direct to consumer and how you guys play on shelves, I think you've proven out that people want to buy a specialty fragrance, laundry, detergent online. But how do you guys think about retail?
So retail, from everyone that I've talked with, you need a lot more employees, and it takes a lot of capital. You're just increasing the overhead. And, right now we're scaling so fast on D2C. It'd almost be a distraction for us at this point. So, I mean, eventually you need to go omni-channel. I think especially a product like laundry. And you look at the biggest brands, Dr. Squatch is a great example. I mean, they built a massive D2C business, and then they just went and absolutely crushed it, in Target and Walmart and, all the mass retail. Manscaped is another, one that, you built a massive D2C brand, and then you go retail. So I think if you can build a brand, because another thing I'm thinking about is in order to have a brand, you got to spend a certain amount on media, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We've spent, many millions of dollars so far, but what happens when I spend $100 million just on ads, ads alone, just programmatic media spend? What our level of brand awareness will be, and what people think about us. I think that'll be a pretty big milestone that we ultimately hit, which,
Well, how are you guys thinking about that and quantifying it in terms of what you've already spent and the type of brand awareness that you're kind of receiving almost anecdotally?
Yeah, I mean, it's really been anecdotes. We've reached tens of millions of people, just through our ads, over the years. But I've met so many people. I was in Vegas. The belt boy knew laundry sauce just because I had a laundry sauce shirt on, and I gave him a free sample. I've met people skydiving, and they knew my ads. Just literally everywhere. It's actually in Vienna, wearing a laundry sauce shirt. I'm in the lobby, and the lady comes down. She's like, "Oh, I use laundry sauce at home."
What?
Yeah. Or my co-founder, he had a birthday party, and his mom was flying home, sitting at the bar, and that person happened to be a laundry sauce customer that she was sitting next to, because she asked "Oh, what are you doing out here?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, my son started this company called Laundry Sauce. I was out for his birthday, blah blah blah." And yeah, she was a customer. Here's another weird one. So we had Chris Harrison, host of The Bachelor. He's an investor, but before he invested, he asked his neighbor about it, and his neighbor was like, "Oh yeah, I've been using laundry sauce for 6 months. Absolutely love it."
Just he just asked because he was considering investing. And
yeah, exactly. And it's just friends with his neighbor, asked his neighbor, and
so you guys have good market penetration, basically.
Yeah, it's working for sure.
And then in terms of introducing new products and getting those out there, you find that people just kind of stick with a scent, and they're going for the dryer sheets and the pods. And
yeah, typically you like a scent, and then you're going to buy all the products. It'll be interesting. So we have these scent discovery kits that are going to be coming out in about 2 weeks, where basically you can try laundry sauce essentially risk-free. We'll either give it away for free, or, pay $25, get $25 off your next order. And I'm curious to see, once you've bought the scent discovery kit, what scents do you buy? Because I think a lot of people, they're just buying scents that they're most familiar with, or is it the color of the box, right? Australian sandalwood is our most popular fragrance, and I'm wondering, is it just because is it a black box and it looks cool, or you just like the sound of Australian sandalwood?
People are kind of buying blind on the first try.
Yeah, exactly.
What about mixed kits? Yeah,
we've had a lot of requests for a variety pack. I think we'll do it eventually. So
yeah, that's been, I mean, for one of our other clients, Vibes, like mixed packs, mixed box, always highest performing first touch hero SKU.
yeah.
And then you discover your flavor and you're just kind of hooked. Scent's really particular though. It's so nuanced because I think it drives like attraction, it drives mood, like there's a lot in there I think you can market with.
Yeah, I was at a conference and I had a bunch of laundry sauce out on display, and we had the scent beads out, our scent booster, and it's cool to just like profile people and like ask them like, oh, which one do you like the most? And you'll have someone like, oh, I really don't like that one, but that'll be someone's most favorite scent, you know. So it's highly individual. That's why we call it your signature scent.
So in terms of you started this business, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've had businesses in the past. First ecom business. When you guys started the company, were you really intentional about like how you wanted to crystallize value, like through an exit, or or were you kind of just like, we need to start this business and see what happens?
No, I mean I'm pretty familiar with the whole like venture space and selling companies, and I mean this is a company we'll build to exit. It's not going to be just a lifestyle brand. So we certainly like had especially when you take on investor money, like there's no like, oh, we're just gonna fuck around here.
Yeah.
Like we're here to deliver returns for our shareholders. And just grow a really big business and have a real nice exit, and everyone just rides off into the sunset and has a good time. So
That's the dream right there.
yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. So what does that timeline look for you? So you guys are 2 years into this. When did you start raising venture money?
We started raising like real capital beginning of last year. So, if we could have an overall time horizon of 5 years, I think that'd be pretty fast. But I think it's doable. I mean, you look at Manscaped, they went from 0 to 300 million in 3 years. Or no, they went from 3 million to 300 million in 3 years. I don't know how long it took them to get to the first 3 million, but they had that in their SEC filing when they were going to SPAC.
They were out of some venture studio, right? Or
I don't know if they were out of venture studio. I think they were on Shark Tank and did quite well. And I've met with some of
oh,
the
you know what? I
investors.
think is that the Manscaped competitor. I can't remember what those guys are called. Yeah, I think.
But they were first to market. They own the space.
Yeah, for sure. And they had great naming, great branding.
Yeah. I think the name goes a long way. I think it's underrated, actually.
For sure. And their products, they have like the lawnmower. It's funny,
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like, what if Dr. Squatch was named something different? It was like Bob's or something. Like, would it have taken off? Like, seriously.
How did you guys come up with the name?
So there was a meme that went viral back in 2016, I think, and it was basically like, who the fuck calls laundry detergent, or who the fuck calls laundry sauce laundry detergent? Okay, Mr. Scientist. Like it was something like that. And my brother and I had just always called laundry sauce or laundry detergent laundry sauce, and just stuck. And yeah, took a bunch of edibles one night.
You're like, this has got to be a thing.
Yeah. No, yeah. Actually, my brother and I were flying to our lake house, and the idea just hit. And I'm like, oh, dude, this thing would be unbelievable. And I basically thought to myself, oh, I could turn this into a $10 million business, like no problem. And sure enough, we did.
Yeah, for sure. And now it's like, okay, let's get to 100 mil and crystallize some more value here. Are you concerned just with what's happening with some of the public D2C businesses? Like, how do you kind of rationalize and think about some of the casualties that are happening in the field right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of them, like you look at like Casper, that's one of those that kind of
just kind of got destroyed.
Yeah,
but Casper, I was talking to David about this. Like, they just thrived off of endless, an endless ability to just kind of reach new customers through Facebook. There's absolutely no repurchase mechanisms built into that business.
Yeah, exactly. And even like I know Warby Parker was another one that got hit quite hard. I mean, how often are you buying glasses?
Yeah.
So I think the businesses that haven't done well are ones that don't have any like consumable nature to it or repeat. Or
so you need to be using like daily, at least weekly.
Yeah, and then if you get like really out of whack in terms of your expenses, I mean, one of I think the magic things about e-commerce is how big you can scale a business with so few people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we were talking about that. You basically built your 8-figure business with what? 2-3 people.
Yeah, it's just myself, my brother, and my co-founder.
How do you think about some people have a lot of trouble like maintaining the integrity of the brand and the communications. Like I know you guys have really just built a lot of the infrastructure off the back of agencies.
Yeah.
Speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So it's not that we haven't used people to grow this business. We've just used agencies. And what I like about agencies is you buy outcomes rather than buying labor. Because when you hire an employee, you got to buy labor and then, teach them to do something generally.
Yeah, you're a little bit more forgiving, I think, with internal talent.
Yeah. So, and the thing is with agencies, like you always have like another agency wanting to eat your lunch, so you don't deliver.
Yeah,
like
it's true.
There's someone else like that wants my business,
Yeah, it's true.
Like imagine an employee trying to justify their worth and value at the end of each month of the presentation. Like it doesn't happen. Agencies, it's like common practice.
Bread and butter.
Yeah. It's like,
we'll give you a deck any day of the week.
Yeah. Exactly. And then I think one of the reasons why we're able to use agencies was because of the simplicity of the product, right? Like everyone's been doing laundry their whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's just simplicity of product and then like simplicity of like all the metrics in e-commerce. Everyone knows whether or not they're doing a good job or bad job, basically in real time.
Yeah. Well, it's become the ecosystem is so it's so robust now. The amount of like tools and technology that have come out of just the sharing of data is actually insane. So you can pretty much benchmark anything now. We invested in a company, Veros. I don't know if you guys have used them.
Yeah, we use them.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome what Yarden's building. Basically benchmark all of your CPM, CPC, CAC. So interesting when you look at that software though. The entire market moves together.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, people just forgot about seasonality. But I think as a brand, you just want to. This is a really good barometer for like how your brand performs, is seeing if you're in the top percentile of each of those metrics. So even if you're experiencing a bit of decline, you're still outperforming your peer set.
Yeah.
You have good unit economics, like business can scale.
Yeah.
You can reach a lot of different people.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing you can control as a business is lifetime value. I think CAC, I mean, obviously you can improve CAC by having, better ads, better landing pages. But I think in a lot of ways it is market driven. Lifetime value is really on you. Like it's product driven,
you need to have a good product for sure.
Yeah. I mean, everything kind of falls apart if you don't have a good product.
So you start there and then you need really good marketing, especially obviously if you're an e-commerce business, to get the product into people's hands and then to a degree to reconvert them. But I'm generally in your camp that like the product gets people to rebuy. And it should get people to talk about the product too. Yeah. Oh shit, I just bought these laundry pods. They smell really good.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of stories I have of just like super fans where they tell all their friends about it. Or, I mean, I have people like come up to me all the time that are, within my network that's like, oh, I've told all my friends about it. They love it. And then they're telling all their friends about it. And I guess why do they want to tell people about it? It's because we made it fun.
You made it fun. The product's cool. The marketing's great.
Yeah.
Like it gets the conversation going. I think generally like, within your different ventures, where does laundry sauce fall? Like are you having a good time?
Yeah, it's so much fun. Yeah. Initially like I thought there was a lot of like great lifestyle components of it as well.
Yeah. Like smelling good or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that, also, you shoot videos with a bunch of hot models.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How was tell us about the Eastwood advertisement. How was that?
Yeah, that was super well received. I think it has almost like 1 million views on his organic, like just Instagram. And then we were actually talking with him earlier today and he basically said that he's like, you have no idea how many people have come up to me.
He's like, dude, this ad put me on the map.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, it's good for us. I think it's good for his
I'm not going to lie. I did not know who Scott Eastwood was before that advertisement.
Yeah, but he's in some big movies like Fast and Furious. He's got 5.5
Didn't reach this part of New York. Yeah. Fast and Furious. No.
5.5 million followers. It's not bad.
No, I'm kidding. But I do think like that ad, like that's kind of crazy. Like he was in an advertisement for your brand and like it kind of, like he had derived value from it, It's clear.
Yeah, true. The comments are just absolutely off the chain on that too. So
no, the one where there's a certain edit of that video that's so funny. It's like he said he found it on the internet.
Yeah. My boyfriend said he saw it on the internet.
So good. So what's next? How do you want to take the brand? Like, how does it evolve? I always think of brands as like humans. They kind of grow up and they start dressing different. They start doing different things, hanging out with different people.
I mean, 100%. And then you also just see like with data and over time, like, now with as many customers as we have, like you just have this real time feedback mechanism. Like customers will tell you what products they want you to make.
Yeah.
They'll tell you like what they like, what they're resonating with. But yeah, I think if we look at our first website to where we're at now to, the website that you guys are working on for us, I mean, it's just this huge evolution. It's like looking back at those embarrassing high school photos. And you're like, oh, I can't believe I used to wear stuff like that. It looks so weird or whatever. Yeah, when we first launched our site, it looked freaking janky.
That's how it goes, though. You launch out a template or like, a 5K site and you make it work.
Yeah, exactly. So I think kind of where we're going as a brand is just more, luxury messaging. We don't want to be pretentious though. Like we want to have fun. I mean, there was a fragrance company there today at this conference I was at, and it comes across as very like elitist, right?
Laundry Sauce does.
No. Like this other fragrance company that was like presenting.
It's like some French brand or something.
Yeah, I mean, think of like an Hermes or like we'll give you the right to buy our shit. Kind of like
exactly. And there's a customer for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's not us. Like we want to be kind of like.
And honestly, that's not mass market e-com either.
No, it's not. I mean, you have to be approachable. So we want to be like an everyday affordable luxury. Like it's not going to break your bank to buy a laundry sauce. Like,
it's something fun you spend on, and you feel good about it.
Yeah, totally.
So how does that manifest itself in terms of? I want to focus specifically on creative because I think you guys have really nailed it, and it's been a key part of your growth.
Yeah.
Like, do you keep needing to just like hit home runs with your ads? Like, how are you thinking about it?
Well, I think with the brand voice that we've created, like it was all engineered from like day one, right? When you create the voice, the voice allows you to do certain things. Like for example, Liquid Death, like one of their like original ads, I think they were waterboarding someone. Like that's so extreme, but it works for them because they've basically said that's okay in their brand voice. Dasani can't go and do that.
Dasani's like, we have filtered water. It's okay.
Yeah, I think we created a brand voice, and we also have a very fun name.
Yeah,
and like there's puns that just write themselves. Laundry sauce, like for the biggest loads, right? Like it's easy.
Yeah, it's just easy to come up with stuff. How do you think about your creative content calendar in terms of planning? Like, do you kind of limit yourself from a production perspective because you can spend major on ads and
and then also when you start to just do enough of these big high budget top of funnel campaigns, I mean, they're very modular in a lot of ways. So you can pull like a scene from this video, and create like all new content. And I think right now we're looking to do like 2 really like major like high end assets each year, and then you also take. Well, then you have all the UGC stuff, and then kind of just your standard performance creative that might be a little bit more product oriented, and you kind of mash all those up, and you just have kind of constant creative refreshes with just the content that you've accumulated over time. So it almost gets easier in some ways.
Yeah, you just basically build out a really big library. Well, for ecom, it certainly gets easier because you know what works, you have a feedback loop, and you build out the library.
Yeah. But we're excited to always brainstorm a new, top of funnel campaign. Like the one that we did is we called it the PSA campaign, the public service announcement. Unfortunately, it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And that was just straight up out of a customer comment. Like that was legit 100%. Like we just started running as a Facebook ad, performed really well. And we're like, oh, okay, what if we turn this into a whole like, legit video campaign? And that's, how we came up with it.
Wow. So you guys, I feel like that's like half the fun of this business. Too,
yeah.
Right. So how do you guys divide the pie in terms of like responsibilities? It's you, your brother, and your co-founder.
Yeah.
Right?
So, as CEO, like I'm ultimately the one responsible for capital, vision of the business. Like, with EOS, for example, you have like the visionary and the integrator. Like I'm very much the visionary. My business partner, Rob, he's the integrator, and he's just super disciplined, super type A, like unbelievably organized. So he's just like a phenomenal counterpart. And I think you just need that in any like founding team. Is just like,
yeah, you need complementary pieces. Yeah. I think it's kind of interesting. Have you founded a business before as like a solo founder?
Never as a solo founder, just because it sucks.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
I hear you on that. I think of my own business, and I'm like, what would I do without someone else to like man the ship.
I mean, you'll always just be limited as a solo founder. Like you can only go so big.
Yeah. And there's only so much that people who work for you will do, you know?
Truth. Yeah. So I'm all about just building like amazing teams. Like that's how you're going to build a big business. Like you can never get that big. I mean, I'm sure there's been some dude that's done super well, but it's like an absolute edge case, right? The commonality amongst great companies is you have great founding teams.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they know how to, engineer the business for whatever sort of outcome that they want.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to expand to retail prior to selling the business?
I've heard both recommendations. You do it because like you have some people that will say we're not going to invest in the business or buy the business unless we have like basically the retail proof points, and then you also have the ability to sell. It is kind of the dream, right? It's like, oh, you buy this business and then you could go develop this out next.
Strategic,
yeah. Because if you're buying a business, fundamentally you have to see upside in it, or else why are you buying it, right? So you got to have some lever to pull on growth. So if you have someone that's like expert at taking D2C brands into retail,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you can unlock value overnight. We won't have to build it.
Yeah. So I think you could argue both ways. And time will tell. Just ultimately like who you run into, who you meet. I mean, that's just how the world works. It's all about who you know.
How do you think about scale on ecom? Like you guys are obviously scaling, you've been growing. Yeah. How do you push yourselves to either, go faster or slow down? Like, how do you think about growth in that way?
Just got to have expensive taste, So if you want to drive Bugattis, you want to have private jets, you got to have big numbers. So, some people are okay with like a $10 million a year business. Some people think like, oh, those are rookie numbers. Like I want $100 million a year business. And then some people will think those are rookie numbers. And then they're like, oh, I'm doing $1 billion businesses. So it's really like who you surround yourself with. And if you're around people that, have $100 million plus businesses or $100 million plus net worth, like it just becomes more normal. And you kind of set that thermometer for yourself of like, what I expect in terms of success. So, like when we did our first $1 million month, I was like, okay, cool. Like huge milestone. But at the other hand, like when are we going to get to 10?
Yeah. It's like not being content, just continuing to push forward. My question is more geared towards pushing faster on the actual channels.
Well, in order to push faster on the channels, like you just have to get past that, like kind of the inevitable like growth decay that you get, right? Because
degrading returns.
Yeah, because it's one thing to spend $1,000 a day. It's a different thing to spend $100,000 a day, and you just need a lot of things working for you. You need the landing pages to be solid. You need the offer to be solid. Price points, margins, all your email marketing. Like there's a lot of things that have to go right in order to hit like massive scale. But like once you do, the magic is
it's a machine
going.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious. You talked about building out teams. You're working with your brother right now.
Yeah.
How's that working with family?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with him for a long time. And he's always worked for me. And I mean, I feel like he's always worked for me, even like when we were like 5 years old. I was always bossing him around.
Like, do my laundry. You didn't realize how literal it was.
So I think he knows like what my area of expertise is, and like, I just get to do my thing. So he handles our like influencer relationships. Whenever we have like inbounds, like, oh, you have a NFL athlete or celebrity that wants to work with us, I just forward it to him. He's manning our affiliate like ambassador program as well. Also customer support, customer success. That is all under his purview. And then, we all like there's really only a handful of us. Like we all chime in on product development and, bounce ideas off each other. I handle really like the performance marketing aspect of the business, the web development, kind of technical infrastructure, general CEO responsibilities. My business partner, Rob, he is really involved in like the logistics area of the business. Like, so he's the one working with our 3PL, working with all of our manufacturers.
And with your manufacturers, do you guys just kind of you've unlocked scale there where the product is just, you can fulfill quickly to orders?
Yeah. And what's interesting about this market is, it's basically built for scale, right? You can't really go and say, oh, I just want to do like a small limited run of pods. Like, you're buying line time on massive manufacturing equipment. So On one hand, it sucks because it's hard to get started, but on the other hand, it's great because it can scale like infinitely.
Yeah, you can just produce very quickly.
Yeah.
Give us the download on the agencies that you guys worked with, since you said you build good teams.
Yeah.
I want to hear kind of your experience there.
Yeah, I guess I'll just give some free shout outs to all the agencies. So, so Raindrop, they're our main creative agency, and they're the ones, responsible for helping to scale Dr. Squatch, at least to 300 million in revenue. That's what they have in their ads, but it's a bit more.
Yeah.
So that was a major unlock, working with them, just because I think the fundamental idea of the business was solid, like going after this whole market category. And then Raindrop brought the brand to life. I mean, they're all like level 10 brand builders. I mean, they're truly best in class, in my opinion. So they really set a great foundation. And then you got to bring in, obviously, all the performance marketing agencies. One of the main performance marketing agencies we worked with since the beginning is a company called Attention. Like, they handle a lot of the media buying, and they've handled email marketing for us in the past. But it's been great because they were able to manage multiple channels and kind of be like a one-stop shop. And that was like very useful early on. Then obviously working with you guys has been a major unlock for us. I mean, what you guys have done for us in terms of like the new website that we have coming out is like phenomenal. I've always kind of wondered in the back of my mind, like, how do we really take this to the next level and just like find that agency that can do that? And you guys have like absolutely knocked it out of the park in that perspective. And then, moving things over to you guys like Amazon, it's nice to just have a few agencies that you work with that have like tremendous depth and expertise. And,
you can just kind of like, go deeper into their bench, and, as your business expands, like figure out how they fit into your team structure a little bit better.
Yeah. And, fundamentally it's on you guys to handle the talent war, right?
Dude, well, that's what people don't understand on the agency side is like, I think about my business as just human resourcing, and it's hard for people to actually understand that because they just like think about services and results and scopes. And yes, that's what you're selling. But like at the end of the day, it's really just the people and how you're educating them to get things
agencies
done.
are what, like a 20% margin business, 30% if you're
40 if you're doing it right.
Yeah, you can get all the way to 40.
Yeah.
But
you need scale.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even if like call it 30%, like, okay, I'm paying you 30% on the labor, premium, but it's also not my headache, right? I can focus on other things.
Well, I mean, dude, there's advantage. You don't need to pay, even if you hire people, you're paying 20%. 15-20% on healthcare and
and then also like resource utilization. Like, say I wanted to hire someone in-house to do my email marketing, like, is he going to be doing that 40 hours a week? Because you have a bunch of clients, like you can book.
You're augmenting staff. It's fractionalized. No, I think the key with the agency business is you need to have competitive pricing that makes it very logical for someone to say, I'm going to work with you over hiring X person for whatever the dollar value is. Right?
There's a lot of great functions that I think like e-commerce agency, like for example, media buying, that's a very easy one to outsource, right? There's so many people that do it. It's very common practice.
Well, I think it's really interesting to me. So I'm talking to Jock, is a guy from Raindrop, right? Yeah, I'm speaking to him next week. Like, why don't these guys just go into media buying? Because they're making great creative concepts. It's like, it would make sense.
Yeah. We did have them do a little media buying in the beginning, and
didn't work out.
Yeah, and we did like 10 grand our first month, but that was only like 2 weeks, and that was like mainly our friends. So the first like real month selling was like November. We did like 20 grand, probably spent like 20 grand on ads or something like that. Then we did 20 grand in December. Then we switched media buying firms to Attention, and then we did 170 in January.
Yeah, people just have different skill sets.
Basically 10x overnight.
Yeah. No, people are just more dialed.
So you kind of got to stay in your lane too,
Actually crazy though. So basically the infrastructure, the org chart is like, it's you, your brother, and Rob, your business partner. Yeah. And then you basically have like 3 to 4 agencies underneath you.
Yeah. And we do have a technical advisor. He's our mad scientist. He's been with us consulting from the beginning. So I very much view him as like a co-founder of the business as well.
Okay.
But he has like another job.
You have another business too though, right? Yeah. Are you full-time on Laundry Sauce?
I mean, you only have so many hours in the day, but yes.
In theory, yeah,
absolutely.
Great. It was honestly awesome having you out.
Yeah.
I appreciate you telling us about your experience. I think we're really bullish on all of the new stuff that you're launching, and excited to to see you guys break Dr. Squatch.
Yeah.
Some of those numbers.
Yeah, we've grown faster than them up to this point. So,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time before they were able to, even get past like 5 million in revenue.
Yeah, right. It was like what, 3-5 years?
Yeah, I think that's what Raindrop said. Yeah.
Well, you guys were just dialed from the jump.
Yeah, we just did it right the first time. It's buy nice or buy twice. Like that's another thing that you get with agencies. You just get it done right the first time, so you end up saving money in the long run. I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ian, thanks so much for coming out. Appreciate it. We've got dinner. But yeah, thanks for joining the pod.
Cheers. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it.